Karina and welcome back to my channel. Today's video I am doing a tutorial on this fiery smoky eye for the fall time. However, it's kind of with a twist. On one side of my face I used more expensive makeup and on the other side I used less expensive dupes for each of the products. I don't know if you guys can tell which side is which right now. You guys probably saw the thumbnail. But if you guys would like to see how I created this look and some of the dupes that I used, then just keep on watching. But let's just get started with the face. Yes, I'm gonna start with the face. Okay, so I'm gonna say the higher end side is going to be on this side of my face. The dupe side is gonna be on this side. I'm gonna be starting off with the setting sprays. So on the right side, I'll be using the Urban Decay De-Slick Makeup Setting Spray, and then on this side, I'm gonna be using the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Setting Spray. So I don't know how I'm gonna do this. So the misters on these are very different. This one gives you like a fine mist. This one, it's a little bit heavier, which I personally don't mind for the prepping part, but for the setting part, that might make a difference. Next, I'm gonna be going in with my Benefit Professional Primer, and I'm just gonna be using this on the areas that I need it the most. So like in the T-zone area. And for this side, I'm gonna be using the e.l.f. Poreless Face Primer, and this one has a similar texture. It has like that silicone texture, which is why I chose to use this one. So I'm just putting this in the same areas. It feels a little bit heavier on the skin, more like a lotion. It still has that silicone texture, but it does feel a little bit lotiony, and it has like a really minty scent. The other one smells, I don't know how to explain it, but it smells really good. I love the scent of just Benefit products in general. This e.l.f. one has like that minty, like menthol smell, so if you don't like that, you're going to be very turned off by the scent because it's very strong. So after that, we're moving on to foundation, and the two that I'm going to be using are the Makeup Forever Ultra HD Foundation on the right side, and then for the left side, I'm going to be using the Maybelline Superstay Better Skin Foundation. Not sure if these shades are going to be exact, so we're just going to try it out, and hopefully it doesn't look too crazy. And by the way, all of the tools that I'm using are going to be the same, so I'm not using like less expensive tools on the less expensive side and more expensive tools on the more expensive side. I'm just going to be using all the same tools, so this is strictly just testing out like the actual products. So taking the Real Techniques sponge and the Ultra HD foundation, I took 2 pumps of that, and we'll see how much this covers. This is honestly one of my favorite foundations to use. So you guys already know that I love this stuff. I feel like the coverage is good, and it's just like the foundation that I use to, whenever I go out, it's just one of those that you know it's gonna work on you. And then on the other side, we're gonna be using this foundation. I'm gonna use the same amount, so just take 2 pumps. The consistency of the foundation is pretty similar. It's a pretty thick consistency. And the coverage on this foundation is also very, very nice. Yeah, those applied so similarly. Okay, so if I look at the foundation up close, this one is a lot more like ashy, and this one's a little bit more orange toned. I think this side makes me look a lot more healthy as opposed to this side. It's a little bit dull, but we are just going to work with it. Maybe once I do like all my concealer and stuff, it'll even out a little bit. On the right side, I'll be using the Urban Decay Naked Skin Concealer, and then on the left side, I'm going to be using the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind Concealer. I'm running out of the Maybelline one, so I'm just going to use a little bit of this one, just so that it's kind of even. Take the sponge and blend it out. Okay, so that is the Urban Decay side. Next, the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind. And then just blend this out. Coverage-wise, you are going to need to use a little bit more of the Maybelline one to get it the same as the Urban Decay. But I feel like the price difference kind of just justifies how much you need to use. So next we are going to be baking, and this is probably not going to be a huge surprise to you. I did a video on both of these, just comparing the two, and they're basically dupes, so this isn't really much of a surprise. But on the right side, I'll be using the Laura Mercier powder, and on the left side, I'll be using the RCMA No Color Powder. Okay, so taking the sponge, I'm just gonna be dipping it into the Laura Mercier powder, and you're just gonna press this into the skin. Alright, so we're just gonna leave this on and we're gonna move on to our brows. So for this part, I'm gonna cheat a little bit, but for the brows, the more expensive product I'm gonna use is the Kelly Baker Brow Powder. And then on the left side, technically I'm not purchasing anything more because I'm just gonna be using a matte brown shadow from the palette we're gonna be using. And I'll be taking that on my little brush and just fill in your brows. I think I'm going to use this color down here, right where I'm pointing. It's just a nice ash brown. I think that looks pretty good. I kind of messed up on this side because I over drew on the top right here, but I'm just taking like a concealer brush. I'm not going to put anything on it. I'm just gonna clean this up because I kind of messed up on this side. That was my fault. That has nothing to do with the powders. So I'm going to be using a primer on my right side. This one is the Too Faced Shadow Insurance. I always use this one. I love it. And then for the left side, I'll be using the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Eyeshadow Primer. Now we can move on to the shadows, which is a really fun part because I think these palettes look so similar and one of them is just a lot cheaper than the other ones. This one is the Violet Voss and Laura Lee palette. This palette's gorgeous, first of all. So it just looks like this. It's a really nice warm tone palette. This one does have nice pops of color, so like this yellowish color and then also this green color. The Morphe 35O palette is the one that I will be using on the other side. Some of them are basically identical. I've already tried swatching these on my arm. And yes, there are some identical colors. So for the right side, we're going to be starting off with this color called Ragamuffin, and it is a burnt orange shade. And I'm just gonna be putting this into the crease. This is gonna be a really fiery, smoky eye for the fall time. Once you have most of the color off of your brush, you're gonna blend it upwards. So it's gonna look something like that. Other side, we are using this color right here. So again, place this into the crease, and then once you've placed the color, feel free to bring it upwards and outwards. Next shade we're gonna go into is this color called Biddy right here. And I'm just gonna be putting this on with my finger because it's gonna have a lot of fallout. So I'm gonna be placing this all over the lid, and then we're gonna take a different color and blend this out. So don't worry too much about it being perfect. Next color we are going to be taking in the Morphe palette is this one all the way at the bottom, and it looks identical to Biddy. I'm gonna take this one on my middle finger. Now that those shadows are done, I'm going to move into the outer corner slash crease area. I'm going to be taking the color Bubs and placing this into the outer corner. Feel free to blend it all the way in. I want this to be very smoky. So use this color to blend out, what's that color? Biddy. And then for the Morphe palette, this dark one right there. There's not an exact dupe, but I'm going to be taking the color called Suga, placing that onto the inner corner of my eye. And then from the Morphe palette, I'm going to be mixing two different colors. These two colors right here. I like it. Okay, so now take your any type of taper brush and just brush off all of that powder. So next, moving on to liner, I'm going to be using the Kat Von D tattoo liner on my right eye, and then the Wet n Wild Pro Line felt tip liner on my left eye. Left side, I'm kind of worried about this liner because it's a felt tip and I prefer like the paintbrush version of liners, so I don't know. I'm kind of worried. The brush tip is not as stiff as I thought it would be, so it's very easy to work with. I'm really impressed. See how the Kat Von D one kind of like reflects? I don't really mind because it's so easy to use, but this one, I love how it dries matte. Okay, this is a real test, the wing. Oh my god, this liner is so good. So I did use a lot less pressure for the wing part, and you do have to be careful with this one because it is a lot easier to mess up with this one as opposed to the Kat Von D one. But once you get this down and you get really good with your liner, this one is so amazing, and it was so inexpensive. It's not waterproof, unfortunately, but oh my god, look at that. So for the right side, I'll be using the Too Faced Better Than Sex waterproof mascara because this is the only like higher end mascara that I have that's waterproof, so we have to use this one. I don't really have a choice. Left side, I'll be using the Maybelline Falsies. No surprise. This is my favorite mascara of all time, including out of all the high-end mascaras. This is my favorite. I just feel like it grabs onto your lashes. Doesn't clump them up, but it makes them very bold. So to tight line, I'll be using the Marc Jacobs liner on this side and then the ColourPop Cream Gel Liner. I'm a little worried, to be honest, with this one because there are a lot of liners that stain my contacts and make them really blurry during the day, so I'm hoping that doesn't happen to that one. This one I have no problem with, which is why I always use it. And then this is what the ColourPop one looks like. I like the size of this one more because it's a lot thinner, so it's a lot easier to get in there. With this one, sometimes I mark my contacts because the top of the pencil is so chubby, but the formula of this one is amazing. But I do like the size of the ColourPop one just to get right into that waterline. Okay, so I think I found a pretty good dupe for lashes. On the right side, I'll be using Lily Lashes in Caviar. These are so bold. That is what Caviar looks like. And then on the left side, I'll be using the Eylure Grand Glamour lashes by Vegas Nay, and they look like this. So that's the comparison between the two. So I'm gonna put the right side ones on first. So these are the Lily lashes, and I'm just taking the same eyelash glue that I always use. Where is it? It's right here, the Duo Glue. Okay, so that is what Caviar looks like. Super bold. I don't know how often I would wear these, but I think it's just because my eyes are a lot smaller compared to other people that I see wear these. They look really good on some people. We're just gonna roll with it because I want to try out these like kind of ish dupes of these lashes. These aren't as thick, so I might like these better, but let's try these out. From afar, they look really good. They aren't perfect, but they do look very similar. So for the lashes looking from afar, this is thicker for sure, and the ends are a little bit more wispy, but I feel like if I went out like this in public, nobody would question it because I don't feel like it's that big of a difference, to be honest with you. If you're gonna ask me my opinion on which side I like better, I like this side better on me because they're not as like in your face, so I feel like you can see the eye look a little bit more on this side, but both sides look pretty good so far. And we're going to move on to the lower lash line. So for the lower lash line, I will be using some pencils here. Right side, I'll be using the Kylie lip liner in True Brown K. I know this is an eyeliner, but I wanted to use a brown liner for my lower lash line, so this is all I had. And this side, I'm using the ColourPop Lippy Pencil in, what color is this? Pitch. I really hope that this liner stays on because technically it's not an eyeliner, so I don't know how this is gonna work, but I will set it in a little bit. So the color on that is pretty much identical formula wise. They both went on nice and smooth. As for longevity, I'm not sure, but we will see. So taking my favorite J-Cat brush for the right side, I'll just be taking that dark brown color that I used called Bubs and placing this right on top of that Kylie liner. Oh, and that just got all up in my eye. And then on the other side, I'm just gonna wipe off the brush and use the same corresponding Morphe shade. Next, we will be taking some little baby detailing brushes. We're gonna go in with Ragamuffin. That's the first color that we use into our crease. And we're just gonna use it to blend out that dark brown color. Just smoke it out. Next, wipe off your brushes. And we're gonna go in with the inner corner highlight one last time. Next, we're gonna go back in with mascara and put that onto our bottom lashes. The right side, we're gonna use Better Than Sex. This wand is like ginormous, so I'm kind of scared. Yep, I already messed up. How did I know that was gonna happen? Let's try this again. So that actually wasn't too bad because if you can tell, the wand is really curved, so it kind of just hugs your eye. Next with the Maybelline Falsies. This one also has a curved wand, but it's not as clumpy as the right side. Moving on to the rest of the face. I'm really excited for this part because it's really hard to get your face to look exactly the same, and I don't feel like there's too many dupes for this. So for the contouring, we're gonna be using Anastasia's Havana. This is a warm toned bronzer and it looks like this. And for the left side, we're gonna be using the Wet n Wild Mega Glow Contouring Palette. We're gonna be using this shade. So first going in with the Anastasia. This is really nice for like bronzing because it's a nice warm shade. It's not cool toned. For the other side, we're gonna wipe off this brush because I do want to use the same one. And then I'm gonna be using the Wet n Wild. This one's a lot more powdery, so it might be more pigmented. So just be really careful with this. Oh yeah, that's a lot more pigmented than the other ones. I did dab a little bit off on my hand right here because I could tell that it was just really pigmented. What do you guys think? It's really hard for me to see it in like a mirror right here. I feel like it's a lot easier to see it on the camera. It's just my viewfinder is so tiny that I can't really tell. But that is what the face looks like so far. Next, moving on to blush, we are going to be taking Benefit's Coralista, so just a really nice corally tone blush, and e.l.f. Cosmetics Candid Coral. I love the smell of this blush. It smells really good. And then for the left side, the e.l.f. Both of them have a little bit of shimmer in it, so it's gonna give a really pretty like highlighted effect. As you can tell, like it kind of already highlights my cheek as well as this side, but we are gonna still go in with highlighter because I found two that look super similar, but the color payoff isn't the same. I already kind of tested them out. So on this side, I'm gonna be using Ofra's highlighter in Beverly Hills, and on the left side, I'll be using Wet n Wild's Mega Glow Illuminating Palette in the shade Catwalk Pink. So let me give you a close-up of what these two look like. I got really excited when I found these because I feel like the bricks and the little triangles look so similar, except for that gold right here, so I'm not going to be taking that gold part, but they do look super similar. Like the idea is kind of the same, but this one's a lot more pigmented. I'm just going to be really honest with you guys right now. And like I said, on this side, I'm just going to be taking all the colors except for that gold and just place that on the, see how pigmented that stuff is? It's kind of insane. I think I put too much, but oh well. So that's that side. The next side, same brush, just a different one because it's clean, and I'll be taking all four colors. I'm going to be taking a lot, I'm just going to be honest with you guys, because this color payoff isn't quite the same. So it does give you a little highlight. The color is so similar, it's just the payoff of the color isn't as vibrant. But for the price, this Ofra one I think is $40. This one I think is like less than $5. So for $5, I think this is a pretty good dupe. You just need to use a little bit more. But look at that. If you build it up, that looks pretty nice. So that is it for the face stuff. We're gonna move on to the lips. So what do you guys think so far? Let me know in the comments what you guys think. And for the lips, I'll be using Kylie Cosmetics Ginger on the right side and Kathleen Light's Miami Fever on the left side. These are not exact, so I already know these are going to turn out a little bit different. Americano might have worked a little bit better with Ofra's, but I can't find it. Okay, so I found Americano and it's much more similar to Ginger than Miami Fever. So found Americano, I'm using this one on the other side. So just talking about the difference between these lipsticks, this one is a lot more drying than this one. This side, the Ofra side, is so comfortable. However, this side is basically budge proof. This side isn't. This is gonna transfer. So you kind of have to see what you value more in a lipstick to see which one you like better. Last thing I'm gonna do is set my face again. So right side again, Urban Decay. And then this side is the L'Oreal. Or was it L'Oreal? Yeah. So this is the completed look. I personally am very impressed. I think this looks so similar on both sides. I'm gonna see how this wears. I will be back in 4 hours. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this tutorial part of it, and I will see you in a little bit for an update. So I am back. It is about 4.5 hours later, and I look like a greasy mess on both sides. So I'm gonna look at this a little more closely just to see how each side held up. So again, this is the higher end side. This side is the less expensive side. I feel like most of this right here might be like the highlight, because this side was highlighted a little bit more, but this side does look a lot more oily. So I don't know if it was the foundation. Let's zoom you guys in a little bit closer so we can see the eyes and the lips. Okay, so for the eyes, this lash, I'm just gonna let you guys know that it's fallen off because it was irritating me. I don't think that has anything to do with the lash, it was just the glue. The shadow on this side looks really good, as well as the shadow on this side. I don't feel like anything has creased up, so I am gonna say that the shadow primer that I used on this side, the Wet n Wild one, I feel like it did a really good job because everything looks just like it does on the right side. The liner is looking pretty good. I'm talking about the liner on top. It faded a little bit on the inner corners on this side too, so I'm not gonna make a huge deal about that. I do feel like the brow on this side looks a little bit better. I feel like the Kelly Baker brow powder just does a really good job of making the entire eye look even, and I use an eyeshadow on this. That's probably why, because eyeshadows aren't meant for your eyebrows, but yeah, I do like the brow on this side a lot more. Both sides stayed really well. The eyeliner on this side faded a little bit more than on this side, but it's nothing that's too noticeable. Yeah, I'm really impressed. I feel like the dupes held up really nicely. And then for the lips, I did have boba, so I was drinking that through a straw. I had a little bit of flame broiler, so everything was eaten with like a fork or drink with a straw, so nothing should have moved too much. The Ofra side did feather out slightly, like just a little bit, and I think the Kylie side did a really good job of not feathering, because like I said, this side is budge proof, so it shouldn't move too much. And also, I mentioned earlier that the Kylie side just felt really tight, but I feel like as I wore it more, both sides just started to feel the same. Like I didn't recognize the tightness of my lips after it dried completely. I think after maybe like 5 minutes that feeling just went away completely. So yeah, but this is what both of the sides look like up close. Which side held up better? Let me know down in the comments, because I would love to know what you guys think. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful. I hope you guys enjoyed some of the dupes that I used and try them out for yourselves. If you guys would like to follow me on social media, I will have all the links down below. And also, if you have not subscribed to my channel yet, please hit that subscribe button. You will just be notified of when I post new videos. And I think that is all I have to say. I love you guys, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!